turns out to be the chink in his armor, and she loves disguising her weaknesses as strengths.
If you can fight, fight. Help each other. Be prepared for anything. Our war has just begun.
We are the hammers, and we are the nails. The world stands upon the precipice of total insanity, and we need you, and we hope you need us, bringing information, news, and as much truth as we can eke out before Mother Nature turns us to crumbs. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, working to become millions of voices singing in unison to bring the sanity back home.
Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern, Studio A. Welcome to This Is Your Revolution Radio. Join Kat as she highlights the fun frustrations of Revolution Radio on air, as she details our beautiful and informative website, provides you with tips of station history and trivia, and conducts in-depth interviews of your favorite internet talk radio host on freedomslips.com. Learn about the person behind the show and what makes them passionate about the topics they bring to the airwaves. With more than 60 hosts, we will have a different radio personality to feature each week. Be sure and listen in and discover what makes Revolution Radio tick, 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 tick. You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome to Solutions Network with Gail Marie and Nicole. Nicole, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Good. Gorgeous day today, isn't it?
Oh, it's just beautiful. It was hard to come back inside, seriously.
We're going to have to start doing this outdoors.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, but then I wouldn't hear you over all the tweeting of the birds.
Yeah. And here it would be, I wouldn't hear you over the highway.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
I'll have to go there. I'd rather talk with the birds than the highway.
Oh, I know, but it's so nice, everything just feels so alive and calm and just so relaxing. I mean, I can't sit in my gazebos and not want to fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, just relaxing. So it's been a very busy week. There's been a lot of things going on. We had the election here. And before we get into that, I thought it was really interesting. I was reading an article from Nevada, I believe it was, where they had a primary election this week. And on their, what do you call it? Their... oh my gosh, I got a brain fade.
On their ballots? On their ballots?
Ballots, that's it, yeah. They have, the Democrats, Republicans, and they also have one that says none of the above. And in this particular riding, none of the above won.
Isn't that something else?
I mean, and you know what? I tend to think that had Ontario had the same on their ballots, we may have had a different outcome to our election as well. We may have had none of the above
Well,
winning instead of the Liberals.
yeah, but we had a none of the above party that was trying to get in there, and the way the system is, usually you're able to do a formal withdrawal of your vote, and we used to have a none of the above way back. I really need to research that because I'm trying to figure out which year they removed that. And now, we got to pick, the better of all evils. So,
Well, that's right.
we don't really have any choices. So we have to think the Delphi technique for that because, they'll say, oh, you have a choice and you get to make all your decisions, but here's what you pick from. You only have a few choices.
That's right. We'll make the choices of who your choices are.
Exactly. Like,
and you choose one.
Yeah, like how anal is that? Seriously.
Yeah.
And people don't think
well,
twice about
you
it.
know what? Sorry, go ahead.
I said people don't think twice about it. You know how ridiculous that is.
Well, you know what though? I think again, it's sort of the programming holds them sort of in that thought pattern of not questioning. But the moment you open them up to the sense of having, no one above sort of box on your ballot, I think people are appreciative of that. But it takes like that questioning and that awareness to just think that little bit different. Now, I don't think anybody questions that there's, if they're honest with themselves, that there are definite issues with politicians, parties, and what's going on, worldwide. So
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it's important we just keep talking about taking back final decision-making authority. And then let's decide what we want as a group.
Yeah, exactly. I still haven't found anything better so far. Like we're hoping that people will call in or, and or be very how can I say creative in finding solutions and bringing them to the forefront so that people can choose different venues. So far, it's just a toss up between political parties coming in, and then in the end, all you're getting is complete bull. None of these parties can keep the words, their words to begin with, and like
I have no plans on keeping them.
No, absolutely not.
That's the thing. It's like it's not that I really tried, but I just couldn't do it. They have no plans to keep them.
No,
they're lying directly to your face when you're talking to them.
Absolutely, like I've had that experience, and they'll lie to you.
I had just a young guy come to my door before the election, so it was probably Monday or Tuesday, and he caught me off guard. So I didn't have one of my letters handy, and he's like, can we count on you for the support of whoever it was? And I said, oh, no, I'm sorry, I don't. My support goes to the people having final decision-making authority. And I said, by the way, can you just hold on for a second? Because I have a letter that I would love for you to give to whatever I think it was, I can't remember who the guy was in this area, but it was a conservative. So I'd love for you to pass that letter on to him. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't think I can do that.
Seriously?
Seriously. Seriously.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, wow, is that so scary?
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
So I wish if I didn't have the letter handy. Had I had it handy, I would have just given it to him because I don't think it's sort of as I gave it to him, he would say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because I didn't have it handy, it sort of provided him an opportunity, and he didn't. It was like, oh my God, like what is she talking about? What is wrong with this woman?
What would have been the harm in him? What would have been the harm in him bringing that letter? To the MP.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he was probably never told that it's okay to accept letters.
Well, I mean, even if I wasn't told, I'd say, yeah, sure. I'm working for the guy. I'll bring it. I mean, that's common sense, right? So what are they being told? You know, don't bring me back anything. We don't want any, negative mail, or he didn't even know it was negative. You know, so
No,
it's
no,
like,
because I was very nice to him. I mean, I'm not rude to people when they come to the door.
mm-hmm,
But I also was not going to give him any kind of impression that he would be having my support.
yeah,
Ugh, it's just funny.
yeah. But
Funny.
it's ever since we launched the end political party elections, and um, the question for that we need to become final decision makers. It's like there's nothing else, and um, how can I say? Like with all the questions we could ask, with everything that's going on, everybody's fighting all kinds of things. It always still comes back to that, and uh, we need to change our system. We need to take back our power, where these government officials can no longer lie to us and feed us all kinds of crap, and we need to start taking care of our responsibilities and start the decision making. Force them to do what they're supposed to do, which is not condense, but to look over information and then to draft it in a very easily explainable way, and to bring that to the community and get the community consensus first on anything. So,
Yeah,
it's to me, it's we're living in a society right now where we have the right to print our own money for our own internal dealings. And why is everybody paying taxes for? Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
there's no common sense there.
Well, it's just it's that just, we're stuck in a thought pattern or a thought process that's been slowly drilled into us over our lifetime and passed down to us by schools, by parents, by people that we work for, and all that sort of thing. And it takes it's. I mean, I was there, so I know. Like it took somebody to. And again, it was just like one or two trigger words for me that got me thinking. And I look back to where I was, and I'm thinking, like, what was I thinking? But everything, like, it's at the time, it was like not. I wasn't obviously thinking, but that's just it's. I just I'm just in amazement that and I'm still like having to think and see things differently. I mean, I catch myself every so often, but it was just very. It was kind of like I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what, had no clue what, and it was whenever that person or the couple of people mentioned certain things that sort of triggered that awareness or that awakening or whatever you want to call it, that made me start questioning.
Yeah, well,
So it like it's I mean it's just really it's amazing actually once you sort of are able to recognize it, how powerful it really is
yeah,
with people, and
absolutely.
that's why we need to do what we can in um, when we're sharing things to try and I think everybody's got a trigger for sort of that awakening or the awareness, and it's just a matter of throwing out words there and hoping that it's something that people can relate to. Again, it comes back to being able to relate, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. And, that all has to do with consciousness. And,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as the seed gets planted, you start awakening and noticing things that you never would have noticed before. We were talking, you and I, earlier about Naomi, and
Naomi Wolf, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like the difference in her from last year to this year. And
Oh my gosh, yeah.
well, it's the same thing, if you're looking at uh, it made me really laugh when Charlie Angus, called me a conspiracy theorist, and then he's, saying, "Oh my God, the Canadian government's spying on everybody," and it's like, okay, welcome to my world, you know.
Well, yeah, and I mean, what's funny is I don't think that I don't find, anyways, sort of in my experience, that whole conspiracy theorist excuse really holds a lot of weight anymore. I'm finding less people using it than, say a year ago, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
because, and now you can come back with so much, as fact when somebody calls you a conspiracy theorist. Well, isn't it a fact that this? Well, isn't it a fact that that? That people can't help but agree that it's a fact, because a fact is a fact, and that turns the whole table about the whole conspiracy theorist idea.
Yeah, well, the same thing with the chemtrails. One guy said that he loved what we were doing, but he can't support it because we were advertised. We uh, had put chemtrails on there, but it never even dawned on him that geoengineering and chemtrails and cloud seeding is all the same thing. So,
Yeah,
he kept
yeah,
focusing on chemtrails. Well, everybody who believes in chemtrails is a nut. Well, excuse me.
yeah,
You know, check out the sky, and guaranteed tomorrow or the day after, it's going to be raining in your area. And what are they putting in there? The thing is it as long as we're not, we can't get the we have to go through the Freedom of Information Act. The government does not allow us to know anything, and if you do get some stuff, you get it all blocked off. Like, what's up with that? When did our government start to actually block information, not allow us to have information? Like, I asked that question because it's like, when did all this start? And when you look at Canada and the United States, and um, now the cops are here in Canada. The U.S. cops have the right to come here in Canada. People, in 20 years from now, they're going to say, "Oh, well, when did this happen?" After we're going to be completely. I mean, we're already just one country now, and nobody knows about it. We're
yeah.
no
Well, and
longer
people are already
Canada.
saying that
Yeah,
about the military and the police from the states being able to come up here. Well, what's going on? When did that happen? And meanwhile, it's been a year
yeah,
or more
yeah,
that the approval or authorization or whatever happened.
yeah. A
Like,
lot of
where were we?
Exactly. Well, a lot of that happened under Paul Martin. The biggest hypocrite that's ever lived, I think. Um, well, one of the many hypocrites. Because I could just scream when he says, how much he cares about the nations, our indigenous peoples here, and it's like, you know, uh, those little bow and arrows with you lick the end off, and you can
Yeah.
shoot that, as we had those when we were kids. I would love to aim at him and get him right in the forehead. I mean, that's the vision I get. Like, here's a little bow and arrow, and I'm gonna get you. Every time you open your mouth, I'm gonna send you one of those arrows, and you'll have them on the tip of your nose and your forehead. Like, just dozens of them. And but no, it really started with Paul Martin under the Security Prosperity Partnership Agreement with the United States and Mexico, and now we no longer have, our military is no longer our own. So that's why, like, I would like to touch a bit on the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs, and in there, like, it's called, let's say, UNODA, UNODA, and that's their acronym. And when you go to their website, you see that they've got these videos. This video of young musicians, and they really want to get the civilians involved in this. And like, I mean, when you're going through the website, it's like, wow. Well, today, this document came across my Facebook, and it's on the Disarmament Commission Civilian Weapons Confiscation Study Group, and it's dated New York, the 29th to 31st of July 2013, and it looks like a very plausible document. But apparently, they're saying that it's a hoax. The UN is saying it's a hoax, and then when you're looking for the document, its document cannot be found. Okay, so when we're looking at our governments saying that, a new world order is propaganda. Well, they've been using the same word for 18 years, the same name. In Canada, every July when they'd have their meetings called Adapting to a New World Order. Um, so, and we could even relate that way back to 1945. So, when you're looking at all these things, it's like, okay, what is propaganda? What isn't propaganda? We don't know. The only way we're going to find out is to take back final decision-making authority. And that's the bottom line. We're never going to know the truth until we go digging for it. And in order to do that, we need to take back our power because they'll never allow us the right information. And even if they give us information, can we trust it? Hell no. Hell no. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, since 1867, most of everything that I've read so far was, in the research is so inundated with half truths. And, when you read the letters from governor to governor or whatever, and back and forth in their private memoirs and everything, it's just sickening. The lies
Yeah.
that they did. I mean, if you look at the Canada Company, they were in charge of selling lands in Canada. That was so crooked, they had to shut it down in 1951. And then, you
Right.
had these guys not far from the Six Nations territory here in southern Ontario, where, they were just laughing at all the lands they stole. And to them, it was all done. A lot of them are corrupt judges, lawyers. I mean, what is more corrupted than the Bar Association? And where does the Bar Association come from? Well, it comes from Britain, and under who? Who created it? But the Vatican, the clergy did. Who's in charge of the bar? The Vatican. People don't know this.
Yeah.
So, we're stuck with all of this history that people have no clue because we're being brainwashed in school not to want to pay attention to that. They don't want you to know the law. They don't want you to know the history, the real history. And, and we're supposed to go, yay, these guys are so good to us, like, hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it comes back to, from a personal perspective, um, why do we feel the need to allow someone to have authority over us? Why can't we take that responsibility of being authority over ourselves? Because as long as we are willing to bow down to authority, and I'm not talking about, respecting and collaboration and all that sort of stuff. That's not, I'm talking about authority that somebody says you must do this and you do it without questioning. Why have we allowed that for ourselves?
Well, I
Because as
think,
long as we have that mindset, then we're always going to hold on. It's because of fear. I mean, we're gonna, as long as we have that fear, then we're always going to have people that are going to take advantage of that fear and be in the authority figure if we allow it.
well, yeah, and the fear, I mean, it's not really fear of what they'll do to us, it's fear that we are incompetent to make those decisions. Oh, well, you need a degree to know this, you need a degree to know that, and then that's bull. We've talked about
Yeah.
this before.
Yeah.
Most people can all be trained no matter what. And the CEOs that I knew, most of them had a hard time. They just skimmed their grade 12 education diploma by the skin of their teeth. I mean, they they barely made it, but yet they're the top CEOs, and because they were brilliant. These guys didn't make it because daddy or mommy knew somebody, and they made it on their own, and they really went up the ladder, and they were really, fighters, and really paid attention, so they deserved where they were at. And this is the type of people I've always learned to respect. Like, I'm not going to respect somebody who's, oh, well, I work for daddy, and daddy's the one that made the millions, and are they really intelligent? They really know their stuff? Maybe, yeah, but did they sweat as much as the next one who could have gotten there and knows just as much? I mean, there's a big difference. And
Yeah.
it's just that the ones who really struggle and make it, to me, that's who I raise my hat to. And but even behind there, it's
Well,
people are made to feel like, oh, we can't make those decisions. And then you have the MP saying, oh, the people are not equipped to make those decisions. Hello, you twit. If we're intelligent enough to be able to vote for you, we should, we're supposed to have made a very informed decision.
problem is, though, I mean, you just said it right there.
You know,
We aren't informed enough, which is why we voted for them.
yeah, no kidding, huh? And now it's like, oh, the people who don't want to vote are wrong. They should be voting. Okay, we're voting for what? Like, wake the hell up. We're better off to send off a message by not voting and doing something else, but actually being proactive in forcing a referendum or, signing a personal declaration and bringing that into the government. But if we keep voting for idiots or, like, how many people are trying to establish new political parties? What do people really understand about that? And the sad reality is that people do not want to. Like right now, we were lucky because a lot of people do want to say that, yes, it's about time we became the final decision makers. But, before and up until I would say last year, a lot of people say, oh, we pay these people to do this job. We pay them. We don't want to be bothered. A lot of it is not just fear, it's laziness. Oh, well, I can't, my kids got soccer and I got football and I got baseball and I've got bingo and I've got casino night and I've got, oh, there's 50,000 excuses.
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
Reading a document? I mean, we need to become responsible. Nothing is more important. Not even, nothing. Nothing in this world right now is more important than stopping the insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting to that point, most definitely.
Yeah, so I was thinking I'm going to read this Disarmament Commission, okay, Civilian Weapons Confiscation Study Group letter. And
Okay.
okay, because what I did is, and when I started Googling it, I went, wow, But then it says, oh, if you Google it, it'll say that it's a hoax and blah, blah, blah. But I went to their website and researched all of their other documents right on that website, right on UNANDO,
Okay.
UNODA, and United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs. And when they have links with the same type of numbers that you have on this letter, and it says nowhere to be found. So what? The PDF I'm holding here directly from their website, okay, which is like they've got a picture in there. It says civil society representatives present petitions calling for an arms trade treaty. Okay, so this little PDF here is a hoax. Is it a hoax? Well, according to their website, I guess it would be. Because you can't, none of the links that they're talking about in this PDF leads to anywhere. You can't find the documents they're telling you to go and look at. What? They're a hoax? So anyways, so to me, this letter here that cannot be found anywhere in the UN website is, with everything that we've seen so far, since I would say, like, I've been really looking into their history, anyways, and especially within the SPP. This document, to me, I would believe it hands down. I wouldn't put it past them. I would totally believe it, and especially with Agenda 21, and guarantee that someday we're gonna know that this little document was actually for real because time will tell. time will tell. So would I say
Yeah.
to you, oh, well, geez, we posted this on our Facebook. Now we're spreading propaganda. No, we're not. This is things that they should have the power to control. And, if they wouldn't have put us in the position that we're now in because of all their lies and their secrecy and everything else and their manipulation, now we have to doubt everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just as much as
Yeah.
they're saying this is a hoax, well, we have to doubt that they're saying it's a hoax because, oh, they might have just gotten caught red-handed. So just to let our listeners know, what we did is on iaccuse.com, if you go to the latest posts where it says, to join Gail, Marie, and I for this radio show, you'll see in there I posted a picture of that letter and with a link to UNODA. So people will be able to go and check what they have out there. And I think it's going to take,
Okay.
because I haven't had much time to really to research this website, because I know that the way the UN works, you really have to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig some more, because it's all little numbers and click here and go to this number, because they really don't want you to know the information. Okay, they want to sound all good, but when it gets down to the nitty gritty, good luck finding it. Prepare to spend a lot of time. So it says the issue of
Right.
military.
I put the link in the chat room as well.
Okay, great. So it says the issue of military grade weaponry in the hands of civilians looms ever larger in the face of the global implementation of 22 slash Agenda 21 by member nations. In particular, the United States of America has an estimated 500 million weapons in the hands of its civilian population. This is not just a static problem, it is a massive dynamic problem for the process of confiscation, as there will be those who refuse to surrender their firearms. The conclusion of discussions by the CWCSG led to the adoption of a proposed agenda to begin the process for introducing to member nations a framework by which they can begin codification of national laws to disarm civilians within their borders through a graduated process. Within the discussion framework, we have identified several problem areas that must be addressed. They are: 1. Classification of military-grade weapons to be made illegal for possession. Creation of programs to provide reasonable compensation for voluntary surrender of said arms. Codification of laws to begin the restricting and strict licensing of concealable firearms. Codification of laws to begin the restricting and strict licensing of hunting-grade firearms. Codification of laws to restrict the sale of and possession of ammunition and components to manufacture ammunition. Finally, codification of laws to completely make any and all firearms illegal to own, possess, or use outside of military and law enforcement usage. 7. Creation of a United Nations Police Task Force with the specific mission of assisting member nations with the collections of weaponry from civilian hands. The SWCSG will submit its findings and final recommendations once we have created the codification framework for member nations for a full review by the Office of the Secretary General. Now, if you look at this, okay, to me, okay, I would say this is legit. When I first look at it, hell yeah, that's legit. Because, I'm well aware of, Obama signing that small arms treaty. And people were talking about it last year, but then it kind of got hushed up. And when you're looking at, these false flags, I mean, they're talking about, the schooling. All of that was apparently. I posted this on my Facebook today, and I should have printed it out, but it's how that school, the shooting at the school was just apparently the Obama officials have said that yes, it was just a military how do you call that when they're doing
Training?
Yeah, so apparently they're saying there was military training. I still haven't had a chance to read the whole thing, um, but I'm going to be tending to that. And now, we've got the veterans, their website, Veterans Today. They're questioning a Canadian Rambo. They're questioning, what happened there, and did these people really die? I mean, the Boston shooting. You see a video where the guy is lying through his teeth, being interviewed, that he picked up the gentleman who apparently um, lost his legs to this, the Boston Marathon. And when you see this other video, there's actually 3 other people lifting him up. The other guy's not even anywhere near him. So, well, he's near him, but he's not actually physically picking him up. It's 3 other people. So when you're looking at all these things, what's the truth anymore? What is our reality here?
That's exactly right.
So it was really amazing that this picture comes up today, and then they're saying, oh, it's a hoax, and then we're looking, that the UN is saying it's a hoax, it's not really true. But then when you click on the other things that they have, well, their other documents could be, they're not there. So to me, I think that they just removed this and just relisted it under another number, and the only way we're going to find out is if we keep searching that database and see if they listed it under something else. Or they probably said, oh my God, people are, not ready for this. They're too awake, so don't, I think they do these things just to test the waters.
Well, and the other thing is, when these kinds of shootings happen, automatically, at least so many people in Canada, automatically go on the Get Rid of Guns crusade.
Yeah.
And what better way to implement something like, let's have no guns, take them away from everybody except for law enforcement, than to have ask you to do that, beg you to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And not having any clue.
Yeah, I'm not a gun lover at all, okay? I don't support guns. But now, given what our governments are doing, what we're seeing with globalization, and now we're no longer sovereign because NATO and the United States are now in charge of our military and police and our CMP. Well, what are we supposed to do? So, right now, hey, keep your firearms. Until we can take control back of our government and see what's up, I would never recommend that people give up their firearms. Absolutely not. And that alone shocks me.
And why is there, in Canada especially, I mean, I don't think the motivation for having firearms is to harm people. I mean, most of it is for hunting, and I don't think a lot of them have it for protection. So, where all of a sudden is it so dangerous to have firearms?
Yeah, well, exactly.
I mean, people have been hunting for years.
Well, the thing is, Gail, okay, here's a little bit dose of common sense. The ones they're taking the firearms away from are the people who use them for protection in their own homes or for hunting. I mean, the ones who have illegal firearms, all of the thugs and the mafia and, all the ones doing illegal activity, yeah, they have guns, but they're not broadcasting it. And, they're not going out and registering these guns. So who are they trying to destabilize? The innocent. So how are you going to defend yourself? So,
Yeah, exactly.
like,
Exactly. That was my point, that nobody's got them to harm other people, and if they do, you're absolutely right. They're not registered. They're not advertising it, and those are the people that do have them to harm. Where do they get them from? Like, they're not going to get them back from them because they don't know where to get them from in the first place, unless they're providing them, of course, which could be a conspiracy theory. But and that, if you look, I mean, there's a pattern just in general that the road we're going down is the majority of people are, responsible, good people that don't need these kinds of restrictions on them, not just guns, but just everything in general. Yet we're always paying the price because there's the small minority who may, do something, who may be terrorists, who may, want to do these quote unquote shootings. And we just keep it's almost like what is that? Boiling the frog?
yeah,
I don't know the exact saying, but everything is just, it's incrementally done. A little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. Trigger the emotions, and that's exactly what they do with the whole gun area. Is they trigger people's emotions, and then people start going on this rampage about we need to get rid of guns. Only law enforcement should have them.
mm-hmm.
Yet those people are not thinking, because there are also people that are complaining about the police state and how the police are becoming thugs.
Yeah.
They want them to be the only ones with guns.
I received a phone call today.
And again, but like you said.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. You received a what?
I received a phone call today, and a friend of mine contacted me in regards to this woman that apparently got really beaten up in Saskatchewan or BC. I think she said Saskatchewan. You didn't hear about that today, did you? She got so beaten up that her leg had to be amputated.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
My goodness.
Well, I'm just waiting to hear back. So.
And who did she get?
Pardon?
Oh, okay. Was she First Nations? Was
yeah,
she First Nations?
Of course. Yeah. I think, well, the reason why my friend called me, I think it is First.
I didn't read it, though.
Okay. So anyways, we got a lot of cash, but everything's happening so fast. Like, this week has been just horrendous with this full moon, It's like, everything's coming, 100 times.
And Friday the 13th.
Yeah. But when you're looking at the number 13 or 33 or 666 or whatever, they wanted us to be afraid of those numbers. Okay, and the thing is we can't be afraid of them. And 13 was actually a very good number, and it's got 13 moons, right? So to me, I love Friday the 13th. I've never seen it as, oh my God, everything's going to fall apart today. I mean, my day actually went very well yesterday. So it's like, yay, okay. And then bonus, full moon, But I could just imagine a lot of people psych themselves up. And so, the hospitals do get filled up on a full moon. So there's got to be something to that, to that, like everybody gets antsy on the full moon, I guess, or I don't know. But maybe it's just because they notice it more. I have no clue.
Well, and there's the old adage that, you create what you fear the most, or what you expect. If you expect to see something, and I'm not suggesting that people are harming themselves because they're expecting, or being harmed because they're expecting it, but if you have a bad day, if you're expecting to have a bad day, you're going to be looking at everything through that filter of perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
And no matter what happens, you're going to see the worst in it.
Yeah, absolutely. But like what's been happening, you can pretty much point your finger back to the governments. and not blaming on, oh, well, it was a full moon and, Friday the 13th. This is all being done, like, this woman got beaten. Why? I'm not sure who actually beat her up, so I can't really discuss any of that, but the reaction from my friend, I would bet that it was police officers. So, but I no, I don't have the exact information. So, um, but anyways, a lot of these things.
And where is the information?
Yeah, well, that's
Like,
it.
if somebody was beaten so badly that they amputated her leg, is that what you said?
Yeah, they had to amputate her leg.
Like, why isn't that in the news? Why isn't that all over the place?
Well, no, it's the same thing with the missing and murdered women. Like, we have a video, a 7-part video of this guy being interviewed that was in the Picton trial. Like, that he had information for the Picton trial, where he swears, an RCMP officer killed one of those young women and dropped her off at the farm. Like, to make it look like it was within the investigation.
Yeah.
So, we're at a point where, what do we believe? We have no clue what to believe. And we know as hell that we can't trust the media.
Exactly.
We know for sure we can't trust the media. So, we have to realize, not realize, but we have to rely on all kinds of, on other people to be able to bring in this information. It's like when you go to that United Nations website, I mean, it's pretty, like they've got this firearms assistance package for Central America and bordering states. And who's helping doing that? Well, you've got the Britain, the USA, and Germany, and Norway. And I think, wow, isn't that kind of odd? Norway? But, who's in there?
Yeah.
Good old United States and Britain and Germany. So, everything we're looking at is almost like, the rise of the Fourth Reich. And, if you're looking at Harper, well, Harper and Hitler sound pretty much the same to me. And am I comparing Harper to Hitler? Well, not as bad, but the thing is, they did whatever they wanted and tell with the people. So yeah, same scenario here. And then
it's going that way.
Yeah, so and they're monitoring the propaganda and creating the propaganda and then blaming the people for it. So what's everybody going to be doing about this? Well, the only solution again is for people to get together and actually take action. But when does that happen? That's the question. Are we too? One woman said wrote today. Like, well, we're 7 billion. Yeah, but how can 7 billion? Another person says, well, we might be 7 billion, but we've got all these little groups trying to do something, but nobody can actually come together and actually make it to a complete change. Because we're not equipped with the way that they are equipped. And, we're just starting to get all this information. We're just starting to react or to try to find solutions. But, these people are a lot smarter than the 7 billion people, and that's a reality. That is a reality because, if you're too big, you can't get together. So, you're looking at this.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, like this firearms group, okay? They're giving out courses, okay, for the countries to come and take courses at the United Nations and, on how to collect firearms or to be on the committee for these firearms. And, and they're calling it, disarmament and globalization and all this. So if people go to the website, they'll be, how can I say, um, they'll kind of be amazed at the fact that the UN has courses for everything. You know, hey, I'm going to go to the UN and take this course, on globalization and how, here it's,
So that
go
so
ahead.
that's all on the UN site. If people
Yeah.
go to the UN site, they'll find it. Is
Well,
that
you
what you
have to
said?
go to UNOPA. Okay, that's for the disarmament. And they'll talk a little bit, like they've got a NATO school, okay? Small arms and light weapons and mine action course. NATO school. So it says, in close cooperation with NATO, the
Wow.
UN, the OSCE, the GICHD, the DCAF, the ICRC, and governments of Germany, Norway, the United Kingdom, and the United States. And these were going on from the 5th to the 9th of May
Wow.
2014. It's like it says here, background. NATO allies and partners are committed to implement the UN Program of Action to prevent, combat, and eradicate the illicit transfer in small arms and light weapons in all its aspects. Now that says a lot. In all its aspects, and all is capitalized. Okay. The International Tracing Instrument and the Arms Trade Treaty adopted by the UN General Assembly. The alliance and its partners also contribute significantly to worldwide mine action efforts. Allies and partners require personnel who have a good understanding of these complex and multidimensional issues and of the various instruments to mitigate them. Now, the aim and objectives is the course provides students with an introduction and a comprehensive orientation on significant, substantive, political, and technical issues that will be encountered when dealing with SALW, conventional ammunition, and MA. The objectives are to understand the cross-cutting effects of SALW and MA projects and problems related to the comprehensive approach to tackle them, to identify the players involved in their respective roles, to explain relevant best practices and insight into how SALW, Small Arms and Light Weapons and Mine Action Course, okay, assistance projects are developed and implemented. So the participants, okay, they're looking for 40 individuals with a minimum of 20 from all allied and partner countries. This course is suited to those working on small arms and light weapons and mine action courses. And okay, with these issues in nations, international organizations, and regional organizations, particularly those that are relatively new to the subject or who need to enhance their overall understanding. The course will be particularly useful to those supporting either bilateral or multilateral projects and are recommended to be attended by donor nations and implementing organizations. The issues of the SALW and MA include officials dealing with SALW and or MA from Inter Alia, MFA, MOD, Customs and Excise, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Justice, and Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Education. Like, hello? So now the Minister of Education has to go and take a
Yeah.
small arms and light weapons course and, mines. Minister of the Ministry
Yeah.
of Interior, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Justice, Customs and Excise. Okay, that I can see, Customs, But what the hell does the Minister of Education need to go there? So, but anyways, they want 40 people from those
Well,
departments to go and take a course. So here they say
and the other question is, sorry, I was just going to say the other question is, okay, where does promotion of guns and mines and all those war tools. How does that unite nations?
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like it's just we keep promoting the same old crap for peace when it's the very thing that keeps us from having peace.
well, in the United Nations,
Like they should be.
like in the United Nations, in their website, they state that, the only way we're going to reach, well, actually, one woman gave a speech, and I was reading her speech, and she says the only way we're going to reach peace is to disarm everybody. Every mom and pop who has a gun for safety or whatever, or, for hunting. And so let's disarm all the possible victims, the ones who don't cause any trouble, who only have it for security. So let's disarm everybody, and now we're gonna have peace. But who gets to keep them? The military and the police, who are abusing more people and killing more people than anything else in the world right now. Police officers.
Right. Okay, we'll be right back. We'll be right back after the break.
There we go.
You're listening to Revolution Radio. Discuss free. Disagreeable topics. Looking for an answer it doesn't have. See? Even your brain is just screwed. Biological system is telling it to run. This is the fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is mere insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all telling ourselves a story. You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomsystem.com. 100% listener supported radio. Reporting the internet. Unauthorized. Right here, where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
Listen in to Journeys with JP Tuesdays on Revolution Radio at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. With a variety of guests, each giving their unique perspective on their journey through to the now. Journeys offers you, the listener, a chance to share that perspective. Join me, JP, on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio, simulcast for Wolf Spirit Radio.
Be me, Wild Bill Sanso, your host of the Sanso Report. Join me for Wild Bill's Headline Roundup every Saturday night, right here on Revolution Radio.
Hey, Truther Junkies, it's me, Angela Black, and I'm back. Join me every weekday except for Wednesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern, Studio B on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com for my news show, At This Moment 2014. See you there.
Who are we? Where do we come from? Are there other humans in our Milky Way galaxy? What is our real history? What happens after we die? Or what created our universe? What is the purpose of our life? What evolutionary steps did human society go through? Who built the ancient monolithic sites found all over the Earth? How did the extraterrestrials travel from star to star with almost no time passing? Ohio Exopolitics is on at 10 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio. Join Mark Snyder as he interviews a myriad of excellent guests each Saturday night on Revolution Radio.
Freedomslips.com. What do you think it is?
But they're saying this is a hoax.
I don't know.
So go
Well, therefore, gentlemen. Join me, Joe Kiernan, Dr. J, every Sunday from 10 p.m. Eastern to midnight for Researchers on a Mission Radio. We will be interviewing guests in ufology, experts on the paranormal, and stories from you, so listen. Every Sunday, 10 p.m. in Studio B. Join us for some amazing conversations and enter your seat through thrillers.
Right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Studio B, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday nights. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
And welcome back to Solutions Radio with Gail Marie and Nicole. Just before the break, we were talking about the UN and the courses that they offer and how they're all related to weapons and war tools, as I call them. Did you have more that you wanted to talk about that, Nicole?
Yeah, because, it's important for people to realize that the UN is not your friend. And, hopefully someday they'll get it. But anyways, on their website, okay, for this, it says 10 things you can do. And they're really aiming at the kids, okay? So they say, in a world where weapons, small and large, remain a threat to humanity, the United Nations' new book, Action for Disarmament, 10 Things You Can Do, shows young people actionable steps they can take to personally lead the call for disarmament. The book presents a variety of resources for the leader to learn about history and modern uses of weapons, okay? Then they start naming them. And this is where I have a problem. They start off with, it's not in alphabetical order. It goes guns, bombs, nuclear and biological weapons. Okay, they're trying to show that their site is more about nuclear, disarmament. But now they've switched it around where they put guns first, so that really sticks into the kids' minds, right? And that's a brainwashing technique under the Delphi technique. So, all these little things, these little subliminal messages. So they're telling everybody, we got to get rid of guns. So let's get rid of guns. Now, the reader is encouraged, it goes on to say, the reader is encouraged to use that knowledge to foster a dialogue with peers, the media, and politicians. Suggestions are given for points of discussion as well as methods to tailor them to be concise and have impact. The action-driven format of the book makes it both an excellent primer on disarmament and also one on civic engagement. Okay, so they'll teach you how to argue it. Basically is what they're doing. So it says get a copy. Paperback is $28, and if you download the PDF, it's $5. And the e-edition is $12.99. So again, this is a way for them to, get these little books out. And first of all, the UN should be giving out those books online. That's just my personal, especially when we give them so much of our GDP,
Yeah.
So a percent of our GDP.
Yeah.
So they're getting paid to do all this stuff. Now they want more. So when you're looking at this, and then they have the kids on there, and it says action number 9, plan a presentation, speak about the facts of disarmament in one of the 10 steps. So it's like, I don't know, like, to me, if they're saying this is a hoax, no, it's not, because when you really start reading through the website, then you see the plugs, right? Guns. Well, to me, it makes no sense to disarm people who don't go around shooting people with their guns first. Let's disarm the military.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Let's disarm the police officers.
Yeah.
Let's.
Well, it's interesting. Well, I've always thought in Ontario here we have that drive clean program. And what that is, for people that are not aware, is if your vehicle is over, I believe, 7 years old, then you have to get this test done for emissions. And the test is based on, like, the category that your car falls into is based on the year that it was made. So, a newer car would have less emissions than an older one, but that doesn't mean the older one wouldn't pass. But anyways, the whole point was that it's a cash cow, first of all. But second of all, I always thought, like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of cars on the road, and yes, they're doing this, and I'm not happy about it, but okay. And then you get behind an 18-wheeler, or you get behind a bus, and I don't know if you've ever smelled the fumes that come from there.
Oh, my God,
and there's no regulation as far as a drive clean on them. And they, to me, are creating a lot more than, all of the cars that are on there, yet there's nothing on them. And I mean, it's just from the perspective of what you're talking about. We, again, are the ones that are being, fleeced with this program. And the real contributors to the emissions pollution are under no regulation to do anything like that.
Yeah, I know.
Same idea, right? The ones that are not.
Yeah, like.
It's like a recipe. They follow the same recipe. It's just the ingredients may be different, but it's the same recipe. The basics of the recipe, the creation is the same.
Yeah, like, I mean, they won't take their vehicles off the roads, but they'll take ours off. I mean, Germany to be carless by 2020. Hello, these people are going to be in jail. This is, they're going to have what? Buses, or planes, and trains. So buses, planes, and trains is going to be your only way out of that city. Where okay, if everybody jumped in their cars, you'd have pileups and pileups. But
well, it's like well, and it's the same with the whole idea of they want a cashless society.
Mm-hmm.
Do everything by debit. They love Canada at that because debit is so popular here. People love their debit. And so what happens when they decide that your debit is not, they don't want you to have access to it anymore?
Yeah, like, I mean, we're going to be stuck.
Pretty hard to buy groceries.
Yeah, we're going to be totally stuck, totally dependent on it, and that's what they want. So we need to stop being dependent on this government or technology, because we're going to be up crap creek without a paddle, and it's coming. It's coming. That's like with bitcoins, you know. So to come back on that Canadian
Well, I
Rambo,
think, I mean, technology.
we're getting a very long delay here, I
Go ahead.
think. Somehow we're getting a really huge delay. I don't know why. Have you noticed it?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So I'd like to read cover some of that stuff from New Brunswick, because um, now you've got corporations bringing in their own little militaries, their private military, like in New Brunswick. Okay, you really have to look at that, because these guys were not even from here. Um, they never even asked the Canadian citizens if it was okay to bring in the U.S. military here. And are these guys really U.S. military, or are they private guns for hire? So how do we find out the truth about this? Can we trust them even telling us the truth? That's absolutely no way. No way we cannot trust anything they say. So here it says, like, to me, it kind of, when I saw that was in Veterans Today, with the headline, "A Canadian Rambo," with a question mark. It says 140 unanswered questions on the Moncton shooter and the RCMP.
Yeah.
So it says a critical look at the facts and the hype concerning the Moncton shooting episode. Is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police deploying disinfo at the behest of U.S. Black Ops funders? So how did it happen that this young man, Justin Burke, was able to stroll down the street in Moncton, New Brunswick, to kill and wound 5 heavily armed RCMP officers? Where is any evidence of the actual shootings? Is Justin Burke a patsy? And this was written by Anthony Hall. It says the shooting spree said to have resulted in the murder and wounding of 5 Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers in Moncton, New Brunswick, raises many questions. Here's some that occurred to me, and my curiosity was piqued by Facebook posts published today by the American author and pundit Naomi Wolf. It says Wolf suggests that the Moncton episode's whole U.S. counterterrorism style might be explained by following the flow of U.S. Black Ops financing apparently now streaming into the burgeoning Canadian police state. Wolf's observations about possible U.S. involvement in the Moncton shootings helped me to remember theories going around in 2013 about the possible role of the U.S. Delta Force, Stat 4, in the heavily armed raids of the RCMP on native Mi'kmaq anti-fracking activists in and around Elsipogtog. A special ops operative deployed near Moncton, New Brunswick in 2013 to defend the fracking operation of an Irving-related U.S. company for the interventions of Mi'kmaq anti-fracking activists. This thought raises further questions. Could the Moncton RCMP be somehow involved centrally in all the blending of U.S. and Canadian policing and military operations as secretly negotiated in the so-called Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America? Is there more than meets the eye to the Rambo-esque style of this whole operation in New Brunswick, a Canadian maritime province essentially owned by the Irving Natural Resources Company? Well, I'd say, yeah, absolutely right, because I read all of that stuff from the Security and Prosperity Partnership, and shortly after Harper came in, he finalized some of the deals. Like, he sold our military, boots and all. And I remember saving all of the newspaper articles from the United States on that. But it wasn't even advertised here in Canada. And it was a big coup, for the U.S. And people didn't, I guess everybody was sleeping or, in a coma or zombied. and nobody really paid attention to that. And I remember posting these and nobody really paying attention. Well, now they're actually seeing it. And at first, when that happened back with Harper after 2005, um, when he took over, then you had military installations. They were doing all kinds of war games in between the St. Lawrence and like the U.S. side and Canadian side, and but nobody again paid attention. But yeah, people really need to go back and look at all of these um, writings on it. There were many books published, and a lot of these books are published for the sake of the government because the corporations are the ones who fund these and give and for the government to implement. So yes, these corporations are really pulling the strings right now, and through the United Nations at that, they're coming in from all levels at all sides. People don't really know, like especially those who know. We don't really know where to throw ourselves because we've got so many sources to check out over and over and over again. That when something like this happens, well, who are these guys? Why are they defending corporations? Since when does the military come in? Well, they've got them looking like military. Now, you've got, the Windsor Police who have a tanker. You've got Toronto who's got tankers now. Hamilton has one. All of these police are getting these new tankers. For who? The people. That's who for. So, like, now our police are being militarized.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it just amazes me that people are just, well, thank goodness that some of them are starting to wake up, and I'm so happy that Naomi did too, and even the veterans. It's important for the veterans to see what we're up against, and they need to really see what's going on because if the military knew, they quit tomorrow, but only if we have solutions for them. So as a people, we need to come up with solutions. We need to get together and stop talking about it and actually, move forward and take action. So, it continues on to say that as raunchy and crude as is some of the internet coverage of the Moncton shooter incident is, the citizen journalists covering this matter tend to run circles around the well-paid stenographers of press releases from official sources. This stenography evading at all costs any critical evaluation of the actual evidence is pretty much what discerning people have come to expect from the mainstream media these days. Like the mainstream media, all they're doing, they're not giving us facts, they're not giving us anything. There is no more real investigative journalism. That's out the door right now. So they're only going to publish what they want people to see. So he says.
Right.
So he says that.
Now Naomi has actually. Sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead. Finish. I want to hear what you had to say.
So I was just going to say, Naomi has actually created a citizens journalist site. And she's been doing this probably over the last 6 or 8 months. And just taking everyday people that have an interest and maybe you're in the area or whatever, and actually sharing with them how to be an investigative journalist.
Wow.
And probably the kinds of things that you learn in journalism school, right? So a lot of the information, and that's what's getting her, I think, shifting her perspective on things, because these citizens journalists, who she's pretty much, trained on what to look for, have 2 or 3 eyewitnesses, get their account on things, and all of that sort of stuff. It's them that she's gathering her information from, not the mainstream.
Well, that's great because...
Which is really cool. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, the thing is if the military, the veterans are starting to. I mean, the veterans here are totally pissed off at Stephen Harper. They're protesting till the 19th at Parliament Hill. If they wake up and the military wakes up, I think we're all on the right path here. But we got to keep pushing it. So this gentleman goes on to say, I have been learning from citizen journalists that shooter drills took place in Sackville, just a 20-minute drive from Moncton, only days before the lethal incident. Apparently, the alleged shooter, Justin Bourque, was apprehended and taken to the RCMP detachment in Sackville, not Moncton, after he was apprehended. Why? So he's asking these questions. He says, it has been credibly argued that the juxtaposition of drills that approximate concurrent or subsequent episodes of mass murder, such as on 9/11, embody classic signs of false flag terrorism. I have learned from one of the YouTubes linked to below that a key witness in this matter is a professional actress. Another witness filmed by CTV clearly has huge internal contradictions in her story. I have seen the allegations that relevant Facebook pages, including the one attributed to the alleged shooter, Justin Bourque, have been tampered with and altered. I want that allegation to be addressed on the record by the responsible authorities. So he says, obvious questions. What am I to make of the allegations that the Rambo-style shooting episode in Moncton seems like a poorly produced replica of another fairly obvious false flag event? What is the story behind the decimation of the key image sent viral of Bourque strolling along with his hunting rifle? Is that a bow and arrow on Bourque's shoulder? What, if anything, was the role of the RCMP tweeter in sending the image viral? Who is taking responsibility for the appallingly poor police work if it turns out that one or more aspects of the rather implausible official version of these lethal events is actually true? One thing that is almost certainly true is the existence of dead RCMP officers. Was the Moncton shooting in whole or in part of staged event to secure increased budgets and new powers for police state attacks, or are human rights and civil liberties? Could the event have anything to do with a strategy for re-electing the law and order party that presently controls the national government in Ottawa? Could the episode be in any way a diversion from the RCMP's failure to enforce the criminal law on high-ranking officials involved in, for instance, the Senate scandal, election fraud, the torturing of prisoners in Canadian custody, the wholesale and illegal police invasions of our private communications by the ubiquitous surveillance state, the lethal tasering of civilians, including subsequent RCMP misrepresentations, the propensity of police to clear other police of any charges of wrongdoing in cases involving the deaths of civilians, the failure, or worse, of law enforcement in the insolvent cases involving hundreds of missing and murdered Aboriginal women in Canada. This list is far from complete. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions here. So, he goes on to say, okay, former RCMP Commissioner Giuliano Zarcardelli took the politicization of Canada's ailing federal police to new levels when he intervened in the 2006 election, with the goal of putting his friend Stephen Harper in the Prime Minister's job. At the beginning of the election campaign, Zaccardelli held a press conference to announce the RCMP's criminal investigation into the activities of the finance minister of the then Liberal government of Canada. Zaccardelli's purposeful intervention into the election campaign had the desired effect. The RCMP had nothing more to say on the matter once the Mounties helped Harper to move into Canada's top job. More recently, the RCMP seems to have walked away from its investigation into the well-documented $90,000 bribe handed over to the Senator Mike Duffy by Harper's top aide to entice the former CTV reporter to play by the script of a concocted fable hatched and implemented in the Prime Minister's closest circle of advisors. More and more politics, showbiz, and political policing are merging. There is more than enough contradictory evidence out there on the Moncton shooting to justify at least the asking of some critical and penetrating questions by reporters in Canadian media venues such as CTV, the Globe and Mail, and the CBC, and the CPC Broadcasting Company. The lack of such questioning screams of journalists' malfeasance, similar to what happened when Sergeant Peter Montague and other RCMP spin doctors concocted a tapestry of lies and half-truths to paint a false picture of Aboriginal terrorism in British Columbia in 1995. As RCMP Media Relations Officer Sergeant Peter Montague boasted during the 1995 episode, smear campaigns are an RCMP specialty. Another police official was caught on camera asking for journalistic help with the RCMP's disinformation and smear campaign, targeting especially the Native activist, controversial lawyer Bruce Clark. Presumably, the RCMP expect to pay for this kind of professional media help in spreading politically expedient lies. The integration of journalists into the national security state has a long history in the Cold War. Okay, changing pages. When the CIA in Project Mockingbird put thousands of journalists on its payroll to spin, lie, and censor from the manufacturing of consent for certain policies. The spread of purposeful, planned, and coordinating disinformation is nothing new in police work, journalism, and politics. This kind of activity was accelerated after 9/11 when anti-terrorism replaced anti-communism as the major justification for the even tighter merger of journalists and police into the fast-growing military-industrial complex. Does this current failure of critical reportage not suggest that the media venues named above have allowed themselves to become extensions of the police and of those that have transformed the RCMP from a law enforcement unit to a political enforcement unit? Citizens deserve genuine evidence-based answers. Might the asking of hard questions by mainstream journalists result in the possibility that those who step out of line might lose the prospect of lucrative jobs, such as PR spin doctors, or even as senators with sweetheart deals like those formerly extended by Prime Minister Stephen Harper to CTV reporters Pamela Wallen and Mike Duffy? Given the list of crimes, violations, and misdemeanors delivered on Canadians so far with impunity by the election fraud government of Stephen Harper and the smear and disinformation RCMP, the time has now passed for the extension of the benefit of the doubt in cases such as this one, where the smell of deceit is so unmistakable. Tony Hall. I mean, this was, I think, a very, very good piece. And then he's got a whole bunch of links on there, and what some of the people have commented. But everybody should go to Veterans today and get a copy of that. So, the bottom line, Gail, is that when you're seeing... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we need to start questioning. It may be absolutely not a false flag, but let's not automatically be triggered emotionally reacting to the situation. Let's ask logical questions.
Yeah.
And, I think that's so important in all aspects of our life, that we just not accept something at face value anymore. We've been given so much proof that you can't always, what you first hear or what you're reading or seeing is not always true.
And so there's nothing wrong with questioning. And again, in all aspects of our lives, there's nothing wrong with questioning. If you have a problem with people questioning you, then that's something you need to work on yourself. Because if you get triggered by somebody asking you a question, then that's a clue for you. And we should be doing that too. We should be making, especially public servants, holding them accountable. And the media. Okay, what's the answer to this? Have you looked into this? Have you considered that? It's up to us to hold them accountable.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's okay to ask. I totally agree. We need to ask questions. But what is our recourse? We have none, Gail. Even if we ask questions, it's more bullcrap.
Well, no, but I'm talking about on a for people, instead of reacting emotionally, ask questions. And it's not so much you have to hold them accountable, but the problem, we're not even at that point yet. We're at the point of people seeing something, emotionally reacting to it, and then going off on a tangent of, in this particular case, we need gun control. Yes, remove all the guns. Please take all the guns.
Yeah.
So we're not questioning, even for ourselves, and we're creating, our own demise, basically, because we have not critically looked at the situation and we've emotionally reacted to it rather than looking at it critically.
Yeah.
And I mean, until we start doing that, the remedy thing is we're not even there yet. But there will, as people start questioning, the remedy will come, because there's going to be people that are no longer. One thing they're afraid of is everybody questioning, waking up, seeing what's really going on. And that's your remedy once that happens, because they have no power then.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll try, but when you have the 30 million or 29 million Canadians questioning them, it's like that, the video I just posted earlier, the tiny dot. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's a great video about the masses listening to, a few figures of authority. And, you see, thousands of dots listening to 3 little dots. And you see it in that perspective, it really puts things into perspective. And so we are all the 1,000 dots, and the more aware we are, the less emotionally we react to things, and the more critically we investigate and ask questions, then, that the 1,000 dots are going to grow in size and surround those 3 single dots.
Yeah, well, yeah, I totally understand that. But again, it's how they're coming at us so fast with everything that the people are not mentally equipped for it, or even there to even see it. We're growing very, how can I say, the ones who are aware, our numbers are growing, but they are going at the speed of, well, not the speed of light, but they're going at a much faster pace, because they've been doing this for a long time. They've got everything planned. And, they'll brainwash people with money. So it's like, okay, well, what do we do now? Well, at least now, people are going to have to start doing their own journalism, which is fantastic. I'm so glad that Naomi is doing that. And, that now the veterans are paying attention. So, but how many veterans will? So if we can get the veterans to really go after the military personnel right now, you've got the RCMP in Ottawa who are also promoting the veterans' protests against the government. So right there, you see that, not everybody's bad, or some of them are totally awake to what's going on. So, but we need to be able to reach more of those people. So I would say that, before we go to the common person, I think we need to go to the military bases and start, say, hey, wake up. Because those are the people that are going to make the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have no
Well,
military
and
to
you know
follow
what,
them.
though? They know people. Like, everybody knows somebody. Well, not everybody knows somebody that's in the military, but the vast majority of people in the military have family and friends that are not in the military.
Yeah, right.
And so just
Mm-hmm.
talk to people. And I mean, I'm not saying don't go, that we shouldn't make an effort to talk as well, but
Well, we need to
I mean,
start. We need to start
we all
protesting the
know
military
somebody.
bases. Well, not protesting, but we need to go and sit in front of the military bases and say, "Hey, here are the signs. Wake up." You know what better place, right?
Yeah.
So when are we going
Do
to
you think
Trenton?
they'd invite us with open arms?
Yeah, you know.
Ah, the the guys with the boots on the ground probably would be welcoming. I'm not so sure that their authority figures would be so welcoming.
No,
But you know
exactly.
what? Who knows?
Well, hey,
I
if we
mean, we
all,
can say that, but you don't know until you try.
yeah, like I mean, if we all did, I don't know, uh, not picnics, but let's say we found a little dirt road not far from the military base and right beside the highway and had all our signs. What can they do, right? So their family are going to be coming in and off the base. They'll be seeing the signs. They'll be talking about it. Let's say we go to Trenton, or I mean, even uh, some of these bases to me are crucial because they're the ones that are going to make a difference and make the people, because a lot of people are in fear, and it's like, okay, well, what's happening now? Our military is no longer, our military, our CMP are starting to, how can I say, like if you look at Montreal, the the police there were just beating up on people and beating and beating and beating, and it was just relentless. Well, who the hell are these guys? We need to find out who these people are. Are they the actual, RCMP that have always lived here in Canada? Are they real Canadians, or are they plants? So, it's
Yeah.
well, when you've got the corporations paying for security, and they're allowed to have their, why would their guys be allowed to have guns, right? You gotta start wondering, like, who's running the show here? Well, we already know who's running the show, but regular people who are starting to wake up to this um, need to realize that they have to spread the word. They have to look deeper. They have to, like you said, question everything. But the thing is we're going to have to take some physical action soon, and that physical action would be to either, like with Rick wanted to do the two-row Ubuntu party or whatever, another political party to dismantle the political party election system that we have now that is so corrupt that it's not even funny, and change it for direct democracy. But one way or another, we have to arrive at direct democracy because it's the only way we're going to get out of this mess and know the truth. I mean, I'm fed up of not knowing the truth. Are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
All these what ifs, and
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. You can't. And you know what? It's funny because I recognized this a while back, like a number of years ago, in a little bit different example, and didn't sort of realize it until more recently. But you know how there's always a study has been done, and this is not good for you, and so then there's this push on for people to not eat this or take that vitamin or whatever it may be, right? And then 4 years down the road, another study's done that, actually that was good for you. That was, no, yeah, no, it's okay. And
you're on mute. I
it was
told her to
at
keep
that point
talking.
in time where I sort of, I stopped listening to those studies. I do my own research, do what I feel is right for me.
And I don't even listen to that stuff anymore. So I laugh now because you still hear those things, and then years later you hear, oh no, actually it's really good for you. I laugh because I don't base my decisions on those particular advice that's given by the media or whatever, because that's sort of where I lost my faith in the media, and that was a number of years ago, like before they really got going with all the recognizable propaganda. Um, so it's just really interesting because this is not new, but I think it's a lot more focused now. But
Right.
what I was going to suggest is, if why don't we throw out the idea that if anybody is knows of anybody in the military or has family in the military that would be willing to, talk about this, even if they're not sort of in agreement, so we can just get a discussion going. Like, we'd be more than open to speaking with them on or off the air, right, Nicole?
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
So if
I think
anybody
that's the key.
listening, like, contact us. It's not for a battle, but for a discussion. Whether you're for or against the idea, let's talk about it. Let's see where each side is coming from.
Yeah, and another thing too that the people can do, they can support the veterans. In their fight against the government, they're bringing the government to court, and it's really ironic to see what happened. But the veterans thought they'd have a lot of people support, and they got virtually no support. And but the people can still go down if they can't make it to Parliament, or at least go to their website, and it's called Rock the Hill. So if you go to rockthehill.ca or I think .com, you'll be able to see what they're doing, or even on Facebook. But I think it's really important that we started. These people are seeing the truth. They know a little bit more than we do. At certain levels. So now, if we gave them our perspective of what we're seeing, and then they gave us their perspective, maybe we can start putting some of the pieces of the puzzle together, and be able to see a little bit more clearly. And then the government,
Yeah.
would have no choice but to say, okay, we'll have to do what the people want. And by doing so, which would be our, final decision making authority, then the globalization and all that crap they're trying to do to everybody worldwide would stop. I firmly believe that it would stop.
Yeah. I think for the military, they're kind of between a rock and a hard place, in the sense that so many people now are aware that all wars are bankers' wars, and that there's been that whole deception that they were fighting, for peace and for freedom, and I think it's important that people recognize that even those that the veterans who did go to war went with the intention of what we've all been deceived into believing that's what war was about. That they didn't go there knowing that they were fighting a bankers' wars, and we don't want to take it out on them that they were just as deceived as we were.
Yeah,
And that might be helpful in being able to support them. You're not supporting the war, but you're supporting a group that has been deceived, even more so maybe than us. I mean, they've lost more than we even have.
well,
Some
yeah.
lost
I mean, you
their
have.
lives, from a deception.
Yeah, there's one gentleman there. Like he lost his legs. And he's going to court against the government and some of the others as well. And they're really getting, the raw end of the deal here. But the thing is, my firm belief is that it doesn't matter who gives you the orders. If you're pulling that trigger, you're guilty. Nobody else is. Not even for a paycheck. Okay, there's no excuse in killing another human being. Absolutely none, unless they're coming to fight you in your own country and you got to defend yourself. Okay, but when you're going somewhere else for corporations, not just the bankers, because the corporations are involved in this. The SPP proves it, the Security Prosperity Partnership Agreements. The TPP proves it. FIPA proves it. So, everything that's going around in the world, to those who are awakened, it's clear as day. So if they understood that, um, we do have a better future if we have final decision-making authority, they will be more in control of their lives. And they're just as much of a part of us that we are a part of them. And they don't need to succumb to NATO, and there's many things that we can do, but we need to get together. So if anybody can think of something to, great ideas where we can move forward with the veterans and the military and say, hey, even the RCMP and the police officers, you don't have to do this. Back us up. We're going to take final decision-making authority, and then everybody's going to start living again and stop fighting. That's how you disarm. The only way that we can disarm against nuclear wars and everything like that, it's to disarm ourselves against our governments, because they're the ones creating this. It's not just the bankers. Everybody, all of the MPs take part in this bullshit. Excuse the language, but I gotta say it at least once on the show. It's absolute bullshit. And the thing is, that would be one of the keys to disarming, because once everybody starts to live, nobody has to steal anything. Nobody has to, especially like within our own countries, and then we don't have to go and bomb somebody else. We can take all the time in the world to talk to each other. And I think if everybody started, saying, hey, we're removing final decision-making authority, we're the people, we are the government, we're taking back our power, all the other countries would do so, we wouldn't have any more problems. Well, compared to what we have now, anyways, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's real disarmament.
Yeah, so let's challenge everybody that's listening to start a conversation. If you know somebody, because you and I don't have all the answers.
No,
right?
absolutely
we're not out here to do this alone by any stretch of the imagination. We need to. We're hoping to start the conversation, start some people acting. So if you know somebody that's a veteran, if you know somebody that's a police officer, if you know somebody that, I don't know, that's just willing to have the conversation, whether they are in agreement or not with what we're talking about, let's just have the conversation.
Yeah, it's time,
it's
because
not about fighting.
No, and we got to start moving fast enough, because how many false flags are we going to have to put up with? The Boston Marathon, the school kids. I mean, we don't even know if we're coming or going with the truth.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse.
Well, the other thing with it happening in New Brunswick, I mean, if you read the papers, well, you don't even have to read the papers. If you know people, or if you know New Brunswick, I mean, that kind of thing does not happen there. And I mean, I can't help but think that that's all part of it as well, right? There's probably a certain amount of security that the people living in New Brunswick felt until this happened.
Well,
Gail, the Maritimes is very, in my experience, they're very friendly and very open. And I mean, when this kind of thing happens, you start to question, like, ooh, who's that person? I don't recognize that person. Or they look, you just have all these questions that run through your mind that you didn't have before.
Well, Gail.
And again, it's all just feeding that whole need for protection feeling.
Yeah, but you see, if you're looking at that young man, okay, I mean, they're right. Ask question, because how in the hell did he manage to kill and wound 5 officers? And these guys are supposed to be trained. Okay? Yeah. What's his background?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen anything about that. Have you?
Well,
I don't even know how. I looked. I haven't. I don't even know how it happened that he was able to kill that many and still walk away from it.
Well, the question is did he actually even kill somebody? I mean, we don't even know how true that is. It could all have been staged.
Yeah.
So,
and they really pushed the whole dog missing the officer, which is another thing that people are emotionally drawn to.
yeah, absolutely. So,
I mean, they had thousands or hundreds of calls for that dog. Is the dog going to be okay? Meanwhile, if they went down to a shelter in their neighborhood, there's probably 1,000 dogs that really do need,
right.
love and caring and a new family to live with.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure. Like, I'm not even sure if these guys were actually killed. If it's just not all this, So to me, I'm going to.
I know, yeah.
I'm not going to feel sorry for any of those people who, unless I should say I wouldn't feel sorry, but I mean, what I'm saying is that unless I hear more about those people actually being dead, like the police officers. Because look at those kids, for the school and everything. Now apparently, I really got to read that article. Obama's own people are saying that it was a staged event. What the hell? If that would be so sickening for that to be true, in one sense. But in the other sense, it's like, oh, thank goodness, those kids didn't all die. But and that didn't even happen. It wasn't even that kind of atrocity never happened. So yay, But at the same time, it's like there's a catch-22 here. And how could they be that devious?
Well, it is, because people are already traumatized.
Yeah. So
and you can say, I mean, you can say that it didn't happen now, and it won't have as much effect as you saying it did happen at the time, and the experience the trauma that people went through as a result of that. The fact that it didn't happen is not going to sort of those emotions are not just going to vanish for the person. Oh, okay, it didn't happen. Good. But, like, they've already been traumatized. They're holding on to that trauma.
Yeah, because that was to push the gun laws, right?
Do this till the cows come home. Keep traumatizing people. What's that?
Well, it was all, everything's being set up, I think, to bring about those gun laws and to disarm all of North American peoples. And, so that they'll feel better about their world governance.
People beg them.
Yeah. They want people to beg for world governance.
Have people beg them to do it.
That's
right. I mean, you said that about the UN and the Canadian people since I've known you.
Yeah, I mean,
you've been saying they want you to beg.
If you go back, UN enter. Yeah, if you go back to the Illuminati cards, I mean, they had the protesters, and one of the cards was a cop kneeling down in front of the protesters. Well, and they did say under Agenda 21, the people will demand it. Well, they're creating scenarios and illusions and false flag events and murdering innocent people to get their world governance. I mean, that is so sick. It's beyond comprehension. And that's why people don't want to believe in any of this stuff, because it's so far-fetched. It's nothing that, you and I would never even sit down and contemplate something like this. And to me, it's just infuriating that they think of humans, they think so little of humans. And, even Harper and the MPs, and to even, even Carolyn Bennett, to think that Canadians are not intelligent enough to make sound decisions. I mean, what an insult. What an insult. So to me, it's like, these people just need to go. And we need to take care of our responsibility and become responsible citizens and take matters into our own hands. Otherwise, we'll never know the truth. Ever. And we're going to be slaves to something even bigger, and we'll have no control. And the worst thing that could ever happen in North America right now is for everybody to lose their weapons, because it's the only thing that's saving us right now and slowing down everything, other than the native peoples still hanging on to their lands.
Right. We'll be finished in a few minutes. I just want to throw out there again the invitation. If you know somebody in the military, police, whoever that wants to discuss what we're talking about, whether they agree or don't agree, let's get the discussion going. Have them contact us at info@i-accuse.com. Nicole?
Yeah,
.org.
Yeah, .com.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I think both will work. Both will work.
Okay. And any last words from you, Nicole, before the music starts?
Oh gosh, yeah. Like, I just hope that things kind of slow down this week, and that we can get people to really connect, to stop and think, and to be able to get the military and the veterans and everybody on the people's side, because we need to do something. So if you know anybody, do you have the phone number, Gail, for our next radio show? Maybe one of them maybe one of them could call us in during the radio.
Grab it. Okay, I'm just looking for it. Oh, I don't have the toll-free number. But anyway, okay, we'll see everybody next week.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great week.